So just a recap, the 1281 was an area I talked about for about a month before we got there. We took a piece out of the previous week. Most of the move came on Friday of the week before last. And so we came into last week and I said, this looks real to me. I want to buy pullbacks. So the numbers I gave on the session last week were 87, 85. And then just in case you guys forgot, I put them back out on Skype and, wanted to make sure we got long on this pullback. So it was an 87 entry. Okay. And took partial profits here. And actually took final profits, I think, one candle, this candle, right before the high. So, it was a great, if I may say so myself, a couple of good calls about the gold. And don't let anyone tell you that gold can't rally if the dollar's going up. Okay? So that's 2 weeks in a row. Here's a weekly in gold. Last week wasn't a green week, but it wasn't silver. But anyway, we've had 2 strong weeks up in the dollar, and overall gold is good. Since those 2 weeks, silver even better, except silver lost, just the same trade. I wasn't sure which one would outperform. So anyway, I had buys at 45, even though during the session, I put it on Skype at 45. And actually, we got out at 85 on the remainder. So we're actually, compared to gold is still right where the liquidation recommendation was, whereas silver is about 24 cents underneath. So both entries and exits were, can't get much better. So I'm patting myself on the back. But what to do now? Okay, so this is called an ascending triangle. Okay, that's where you have kind of a flat top, and this is major resistance. You can see it on the daily even better. You kind of have a flat line here. If it goes back quite a way, so a lot of people would call it a supply zone or resistance. And the implications are positive unless we break down here. But we start closing over this. The measured move would be to 1235, and coincidentally, the 50-week moving average is at 1235. So that's where I think we're going, and if it's a 1.618 of the 60, that would be, $90, $100, that we could go 1280. So unless gold starts acting bad, and to me acting bad is going to be closing back under 96, we should still be long. So if you're flat, we'll just see what happens. I usually don't like to do this, but I would go with a breakout on this. Commitment of Traders Report is still extremely bullish, both gold and silver, based upon the positioning. Last week I talked about that commercials in silver are actually not short, and I've been in the business a long time. I don't recall a time, because commercials a lot of time are hedgers, where they haven't been short. So contrary indicator on COT in both gold and silver still is in play. Okay, so you buy a breakout over 1208, but it's still possible that dollar rallies and we get another push down to 96. But for now, I'm going with the bullish potential, and to me, it's a bear market rally, whether it's 1235 or not. But back under 96, I'm going to declare that most likely, we're going to challenge these lows. So eventually, I do believe we're going to take out 1160. The question is, do we do a vicious bear market rally to 1235? And even if it went to 1280, it's basically just a correction, right? I know a lot of people think this could be the beginning of a bull market, but I see this as correcting this huge decline. Why isn't it working here? How's breakfast? Whoever it is. I know everyone's waiting for me to talk about the stock market because of the downside.
But before you do that, what do you think about gold further out? So then you've had some folks on that you've been interviewed that talked about gold sub 1,000. Does that seem plausible?
I'm more in like the one more low camp, and I don't know if it's going to be sub 1,000. I know all the way back many months ago, and I'm going to have Peter on this week. He thought we could go to these levels, 1120, maybe even 1050. But I never heard. I mean, I know I've had Henrik on, and I don't think so. I want to think that it's possible, and I had some formation on the monthly that showed it could trade 880 again. Maybe it was this. But you could tell I'm not a master with this stuff. Yeah, there's 880 down here on the monthly. And the reason I bring up 880 is that was a high in 1978 when the Russians invaded Afghanistan, and when the Huns had a squeeze on silver and it went to 50. So, I mean, it's kind of a natural place, but I'm thinking here, that this, it'd be more bullish if it held this. We had the first real nice lift off, and then we had this, and then we rallied, and we pulled back to 1100, and that means that all of this was just consolidating the initial liftoff. So I'll know when we get there. One of the things that's still holding me back, Paul, is okay, here's let me just show you the weekly. You see the weekly in gold? It's a great candle. See that?
Yeah.
But in GDX, although it's a green candle, it definitely doesn't have the same characterization of strength that gold did, right? I mean, it closed near the low of the week. Gold stocks are gold stocks, but I still think we're either going to get a right shoulder here, but I actually favor, I'd love to see a quick plunge down for a third drive, and I'm going to start buying gold shares. Although I don't think they'll go anywhere till next year. I'm always early anyway, and they'll probably be tax loss selling and underperforming assets that you haven't made any money on. I still think that it's possible that we still see 16 in the GDX, which is not that far away. Down here.
Well, I mean, stocks are stocks, right? So if we have a significant risk off, doesn't that enhance the likelihood?
It doesn't help, I mean, that's why, I talked about this a few weeks ago because I thought that this might happen eventually. Hello. I thought this eventually would happen in stocks. That I thought the bullion. Good morning. That the bullion would be a stronger performer than the gold shares. You guys remember that? And that's turned out to be the case. So, but for now, I'm just going to trade what's in front of me, and what's in front of me in the gold is still, constructive, right? We made money on the long side. They say stick with something that got you to the dance, so we caught, a few moves off 81, and this was, no heat, You know, at the most you had a $2 drawdown, and you caught a move like this in gold, and you know you have an obvious resistance level above there, and a lot of things point towards just counts, point to 1235 would be a quality. See, this move was 55, right? So from 1180, 55, it's 1235, and then you have the confluence of the weekly moving average coming in at 1235, right? Previous important low at 1236. So there's a lot of stuff up here. And, right now, with the Commitment of Traders report, I'm sure the guy is, a lot of shorts, right? I'm sure they're, attempting to defend this, all right? They got caught short and they're defending their shorts. But over 12, 10, 13, 08, I think, above this week's highs, the shorts are going to get squeezed. So maybe I should be long gold stocks already just for a pop, but I'm kind of thinking more towards the end of the year for gold stocks, and maybe gold stocks don't do a lot on a rally to 1235, even 1280. I'm not saying they won't go up, but maybe they don't go up as much. And even if we do this, Paul, I'm thinking one more shot down. So I like arithmetic. Oh, okay. I'll get it to you, Seymour. All right. So I like arithmetic count. So, say we get to 1280 and just subtract it. If we from 1280, we're back down here at 1160, $120 subtraction from here gives you, 1040, which is, back to here.
Yep.
It takes it up. I think takes it up to 1122. Okay. 1040 takes you back to these lows. 1040 back here. I'm thinking more like, depending upon how much of a rally we get off this 1160 level, I'm just going to subtract the rally, how much we get from 1160, and that'll be my target down here. So I see 1.618, 1127, 2.618, 1073. So I still think we could get there. But I'm saying that this is, to me, the whole thing from the beginning. I'm looking at this as just being a bear market rally after 1360, a $200 decline. Markets could rally halfway back, right? $100 rally after a $200 decline, and then do one of these again. But it doesn't matter. Do the right thing today, and we'll be there. I think the right thing today is I don't want to do anything on the short side and go unless it tells me that I need to, and the first sign is going to be this line, I guess. Not that. Yeah, I don't hold trend lines in the highest of esteem, but back under 1196, 94. We'll see. In fact, I wouldn't even mind a break, a correction of this if the dollar continues. $28, 14 back. 1194 would be a nice area. That's where we got out of here. So I'm just planning. See, 1194 was a pretty important level. Once it broke through, you got these impulsive candles. Anyway, on constructive gold, I don't have any. Made money being long last week. My bias is to the long side. Nothing wrong with, you're not late if you buy a breakout at 1208. Unless it turns into a false breakout, but I don't think so with all the shorts in the market. So I spent a lot of time on gold. And you don't have to be right in 20 markets, right? And it takes one, what's wrong with if this was the only idea that I provided last week? What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
I mean, do you need 4 other things to feel, occupied? You know,
I mean,
I,
I'm making, I think, 1 or 2 good trades a year is
yeah,
really all I
yeah,
want.
if they're position trades, but I there are things happening with where you capitalize on 1-2 week swing, and all you need is one of those a month, really,
Yeah.
to really have tremendous performance. So uh, I like to kind of stick with my high conviction trades. I know that they're not always right. Like there was one more jiggle in Nasdaq for me the week before. I was real bearish, and then it rallied into my face last week. But let me just touch on silver. So if I believe in this, here's the look at silver. Um, to me, it looks like you have like a neckline up here at $15. That if we penetrate it, we could get to 16. So I guess the question is, and silver was weaker, it gave up more than gold, as you could tell. Yet we had that big solid candle in gold, and we basically settled unchanged. So the trade out from the longs here at 85 were great. If we hadn't taken it and we were at 61 right now, we'd be sitting here and going, I wish I would have taken it here, right? So maybe we get a right shoulder here in silver. And I could also make the case for, just like gold, that, we could get a dump to the new lows. Maybe this was 1, this was 2, but I'm thinking, maybe some type of right shoulder, maybe gives us another chance down here. But this is another one, we break out over $15. I think we could be at 16 in a heartbeat. And again, that's just a correction too, right? It's a correction from 17.20, $3, call it 17.20, 3.20. Halfway back is 15.60. 61.8 back, about $16. So I think something that may have to happen to support this thesis is a turn in the dollar. So I'll go the dollar now. Last week I said I thought we'd take out that 95.5. I didn't do anything in the dollar because the metals work so well for me, but we did take out that high. I think we were here last week, and I said, yeah, I think we'll make another move to 96 or better. You have a little 3 drive here. It's possible this was it, but I still don't like the mo on the 4 hour here. It looks like it's setting up some type of descending triangle. I'd like to see one more rally high, maybe 620 or so to try it, but I no longer want to press the long side of the dollar here. I'm looking for a correction in the dollar similar to the correction I'm looking for in metals, considering it, some type of bear market rally in euro, okay, back towards, 119, 120. I still think it's possible. A lot of people are sending me 3 drive charts. You know, some people think this was it. 1, 2, 3. I'm thinking maybe one more. Here's 1. Here's 2. And if we had one more shot down, we'd have glaring divergence. So, and it's not that far away. I mean, it looks far away on the chart, but it's 50 pips. So I lean towards trying to look to trade the euro counter trend for a move. If we have something similar, why can't we still, do one of these, or at least back to 116? And I know a lot of people are looking for lower levels, but after this, I'm looking for at least a bounce in the euro. And if we have something like this, which let's say this is 1160 gold to 1215, they did pretty much this together, right? So this was a decent move. 113 to 118 is 5. So, if we hold these lows or even go to 114, 114.50, That could take us back here to halfway back at 119. And that would kind of tie in with 1235 to 1265 or so gold and $16 silver. And I hate to say it, might even be supportive of the stock market. You know, the weak dollar may save it here. But that's the way I see the dollar and the metals. Any questions? So you
No,
go ahead. Anyone
no,
have any?
oh,
Yeah. All right. So looking to fade euro weakness next week. Still like the metals. Looking for one more high in the dollar and the RSI. You know, the week was still a green week. So remember, we had a positive week in gold. Okay, so we've had a positive week in gold and the dollar. That's thrown a lot of people off. But there is a nice little wick here, and it's stalled here. And maybe that was it. But, you know, to me, it's more of an I don't know than the metals as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, this could be a 3, but I think it's a little steep. I'd like to see one more shot up to fade. Because I think next high in the dollar above these highs, the RSI won't be at 75. It'll be under 70. So I'll be trying that. I'll be trying this. The euro at new lows is not going to be, you know, even though this is a third drive, what's not ideal about that reading based upon what I've taught you guys, looking for reversals, what's a more favorable RSI reading to make the 3 drives to a bottom a higher probability outcome? What's my number? 30. You know, 30 when I'm fading, looking for lows, and 70, under 70 when top picking. 3 drops to the top. Write it down if you guys don't know. Because if you're using this stuff, you gotta know it. Okay. 1-3 drive that did happen that I talked about for a long time. I don't know if anyone did anything about it, but we got the 3rd drive to the top in oil. Actually came off pretty good from that 3rd drive. Look at this. All right. 1, 2, 3. But the geo stuff has me a little hesitant. The short-term stuff had, you know, too much mo. Maybe another push up. But you know, I don't want to short oil. It's just, you know, November, new sanctions go into effect on Iran, and you know they're shooting ballistic missiles at within a few miles of our troops. I just don't like the geo risk. I think you're either, you know, long or out. This is one that, you know, I'm going to avoid for a while. Okay, on the short side. There are other things that don't have the same type of geo risk. So I'd avoid it. You know, in fact, I said it in face. You know, because if I could cover up the title of what it was, crude, you know, I would have been taking some shots at a 3rd drive. I put out at Skype that if anyone was wrong, it was time to start scaling out and booking profits. So it's a leave alone for me. I'd buy a nice break though. I don't think it's over. Look at this RSI reading on the daily. You know, pretty strong.
yeah.
Right. You know, there are people talking $100 crude. Not a great week though. You know, left tail. So crude to me is an I don't know. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't know, what do you do?
Sit on your hands.
That's right. Okay. So there's an I don't know. We may as well go to equities now. So when I look at the NASDAQ weekly candle, it made new all-time highs, took out this high by 12, I think. Yeah, 702. Took this high out by 12. So it took out last week's high, last week's low, You could call that textbook Edwards and McGee key reversal. So weekly it looks terrible, you know. Maybe they're finally going to get that break to 6,900 or not. From here, we'll see. You know, the dollar turns, maybe that takes some pressure off it. Maybe it doesn't matter. They're all, you know, kind of focused more on rates now than anything. And, you know, you have to give it to the, you know, even though there's record shorts in the bonds, they hit their clock cleaned. Because, you know, I guess the yen should have been the tip off, but yields are exploding, right? I mean, and the weekly looks like it's confirming. The daily is at new highs. It's confirming. The 4 hour looks like maybe we're getting a 2. There are a few things that show 2s on the shorter term. The bonds, see the 1 hour. Yeah, you're seeing it here. And coincidentally, the stock indexes. So bonds have 2 drives to a top, and stock indexes
Oh, the Russell.
has 2 drives to a bottom. Okay, so maybe there's another wave. But anyway, I look at this, even the S&Ps, would have been more bearish for it to close under 28.78. It held it when it recovered Friday, but that's the previous high early in the year. You know, so getting back underneath it would be pretty ugly. But this was an outside week down. There's nothing bullish here. I don't see anything bullish here. I don't see anything bullish here. I don't know how to tell anyone to, you know, chase it. You know, maybe look to sell strength. We have this little, you know, reversal near the end of the day. But, you know, I like arithmetic, you know, subtractions and additions to ranges. Oh, and all the off numbers, you know, we got 2-week reversals that closed here, under here. So, I mean, there's no way to make this into like, wow, that's a week I just want to get long next week. You know, to me. All right, so the off numbers worked. You know, closed under the off number. The off number was 75.22. Next week, it's all the way up at 635. That would surprise me if it got back to 635. But what I wanted to say was if you just take the high, 77, and the low, 375, is in range, and say, for example, you know, we do some work and we break down under 3.25, and you just take 375 from 3.25 gives you, what a coincidence, 69.20. Yeah, 69.20, which is also an area I talked about, fourth wave, lesser degree. So, you know, I still think there's a shot for 69.20. Do I think this is a big move to 57.5? I don't know. But I still think we could go here. The S&Ps, it wouldn't surprise me to see, you know, 27, 2,800, 2740. Are we going to break this and crash? I don't know. You know, we could just pull back and blow again in all of these. I don't know if it's going to be the top. You know, one thing that makes me think it's not the top, look at the S&P. Look at the Dow. What do you see? How many drives? Look at the RSI. Pretty clear. 2, right?
Yeah.
So why can't we have a break and then have a third?
Well, how about the Russell? The Russell looks like it's leading the way.
Yeah, it did lead the way. And this is something that Eagles could have taken advantage of. But you know what? The Russell, I think, it's had some pretty important support, but the Nasdaq just started. So, what was our call for a high in Russell?
Oh, I remember.
72.80. It's actually a count that Volgy had, and the high was 330. So I mean, I think Simu wrote this. Okay, while the Nasdaq was still rallying, and then we talked about the breakout, and this was another lesson. Okay, major breakout. It's exactly what I said could happen. Major breakout. It turns into a failure, and we knew we had a failure this day. And if you did it this day, you weren't late, were you?
No.
And the lesson I've taught is when a market breaks out and gives you 3 weeks to get long, gives you 3 weeks to think about it, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 retests of the breakout to get long, you have to be jaded and untrusted and be looking for the failure. So, could have done it up here with the count, and could have done it in here knowing that this breakout wasn't going to hold, and here we are. So yeah, it still looks pretty negative. I saw a count, Paul, that takes it down to 800 before it's over down here. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. Those are months. So it actually reversed in September. Okay, and now we're in October. So 135 maybe, but right now we're at some support. I'd sell rallies, so I think the top's in. But maybe, 66, extreme case 68. Looks ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to lead it. You're right. It started first. NASDAQ was just as weak as Russell last week, and, the champions are folding. The triple Qs. I know. Amazon. Lower high. 1860 was my first target. Why can't we go to 1600? Does it really change the trend? No, they'll probably call it a buying opportunity. Here's a little double top here. Not a good looking week in Amazon. And, you think everyone got out of Amazon just because it did this? You know?
Well, I thought the fangs were, how did you put it? They were flight to safety.
Yeah, I knew we were close when I heard that. And here's some leadership that failed this week. Microsoft.
Didn't you hear that on CNBC that was a flight to safety? That's amazing.
It was a week before last when the market was down and Nasdaq was flying. They said investors are going to the FANGs as a flight to safety trade. I knew, that's pretty funny. I mean, all the bearish ETFs look pretty good. Here's a champion, Apple. That's such a great week. The Verge. That's such a great day. Could they pop it again, maybe? But Amazon looks ugly. Most of the bearish ETFs look good. Here, let's go through them. The Russell one was probably the best in this time period, but here's SQQ when we came out. Above an off number. When I was crazy bullish this, it was 1160 and it went to 12, and I had to ride this out again. But I'll tell you something, markets will try and wear you out. And you know what? I had double pneumonia. And I was saying, no, and here's how my mind works. Dale, why don't you just get out and, markets will be there, da-da-da-da-da. And I was very close to being worn out and just flattening out. And I said to myself, you've had all this patience, all this time, What's the difference if you have double pneumonia? You don't have to, go out with a shovel and a pickaxe to stay long. SQQQ, do you?
Yeah,
You
but it
know,
wears out,
huh?
man. I
What?
mean, I've been along the VIX, and it's just put me in. I went into a cave because I was down 15%, and I'm trying to let that trade breathe because you sure have to. But man, it was just
Yeah.
psychological.
You're not down 15% anymore, are you?
No, I'm not down. But I mean, that period of time, that's why I've been like laying low. I can't even sometimes can't even look at a chart.
Yeah. Well,
Psychological,
yeah, you're emotional. Yeah,
Yes.
everyone is about money. So,
Yeah.
I just have to, I don't know, maybe my experience of having lost money gives me the stamina and endurance to not have it bother me as much because it's in there. And I look back at how I handled it, and there were some times I needed to get out of the way. But most of the time, when I acted emotionally during those periods, um, the market ended up resolving itself in my favor. So,
But you helped
it's experience. It's living through stuff, man.
you helped me out enormously a long time ago because you talked about how since it's really impossible to pick a bottom, for instance, you're always going to be, initially in your trade, you're always going to be underwater somewhat. I mean, just
Yeah.
having knowledge is invaluable.
Yeah, I have that expectation, and that's why you don't go all in at the beginning. But, when you look at it, um, you know, really, how wrong were we? We started getting, started liking this stuff here. I mean, is it really a big deal? A move from here to here? It looks like that in your account, but you look at the chart and going home last week before Monday's low, whatever, I said, how can I, pitch these? Look at this glaring divergence on every time frame.
Yeah.
This was Monday, I believe, right? I couldn't pitch them. I wasn't tough enough to buy more, but I had divergence everywhere. So anyway, gutted it out. That was a good one. They were all good ones. Okay, so really, that was the worst one. The SQQQ. Almost every other. That was another frustrating thing. TZA was great, and well, here I'll show you. The semis finally got clipped pretty good. So that's the Sox that had a good week. So here we are. Here's Sox. So they all look pretty good, don't they?
Yeah.
I'll go the daily.
Quite a run.
All right, we're at some resistance here, but that looks pretty good. Even the banks, they looked great last week. They gave some back, but they don't look bad. They bottomed a week or so ago, and the best one was this TZA. Probably due for a pullback, but nice. Under 8, 9. 10's a big area. That's why I won't get crazy right here. No, doesn't show, but you have a lot of, some previous support and stuff here right around 10. So, we're getting close. Maybe the Russell stops leading the way, and that'll be and the other indices catch up. Because, the Russell, if you're looking to buy something cheaper, is cheaper than a lot of, a lot of markets are just beginning to cave. It's the first, we just made new all-time highs in the NASDAQ. So it hasn't even had, this was the first week of some selling. I have to think there's at least another week like this in there. So those are the markets. Of course, TLT. Let's see. Got slammed with bond yields. See if there's anything there. Yeah, you'd like to have it too. I know Greg is looking for some type of low in bonds to coincide with, the dollar coming off. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't think I'm going to recommend TLT on the long side. There are other things. We'll do currencies, and and why not go with the strength? I really think the strength, with as strong as the dollar has been, hasn't been bonds. There was no flight to quality. Um, it's probably been the dollar, but second to the dollar, I would say, the metals, have been champions in the face of, you know, uh, liquidity issues with, things coming down hard and the dollar rallying. I heard someone say the Dixie is the new Dix. And so we'll leave that alone. I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. I guess my highest conviction trade is I don't know how to tell anyone to launch to be short the market or ETFs here, but I would. I think there's more coming. And here's SPX finally took a turn. Not late, see, so it's just getting there. We should be able to get to this blue moving average. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Some have already accomplished it. And then, you go the weeklies. Yeah, I figure that's a much bigger move. So for now, I'm just saying maybe saw David Brady. Still think there's going to be one more rally to about 3,000. I know that one of Paul's guys, a big area, isn't a big area 2780 in the S&Ps from someone you follow.
Yes.
Paul, and we tested it to bounce off it, right? We got down to 2870. So
Yeah.
this is kind of a line in the sand for him still,
Yeah.
right? Still?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, is it going to rally and blow from here? I don't know. I think I'm hoping he gets this, and then maybe, we have at least this 2764. And, like I said last week, no one rings a bell. All right, no one rang a bell up here. This was more of a bell than this was. There was no warning here. At least we were starting to grind. You had your weekly divergences. You had daily divergences. You had this close under the off number. 29 was the off number. Next week it's way up at only 29.15 next week. So we'll see. Maybe that's an area. Did that come into play? Yeah, that's all the way up here. Maybe it's going to try it. Never know. So that's my session for today. Any questions or instruments I didn't cover?
No,
Would you like me to?
No, you did really great.
You're such a fan. All right, guys. Well, you have a good weekend. And are you guys? I'm not getting a lot of response on Skype, but are you guys reading it? And at least, Scott, are you here at least seeing some of the things I'm saying? I use Skype to reinforce what I talk about here on Saturdays because I know people's memories, if they're like mine, in an hour you won't remember a lot of the areas I talked about. So
I was hunkered down, but I probably will be reemerging.
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, thank you. Thank you for supporting, your mentorship. And I'll see you guys next week, and be in touch on Skype.
Keep getting better. Are you 100% yet, health-wise?
61.8. I'm up from 50% to 61.8. Looking for 78.6.
Keep going.
Yeah, maybe it'll end up. I'll be 1.618. That's what Andre said. So that's above. That's new highs. That's pre-pneumonia new highs. So
if you manage that, I want to know what you're taking.
All right, I'll let you know, buddy.
All right.
Ripple. All right. Take it easy, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. See ya. Bye.